So welcome, we're looking at the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and as a review, the manual that I've written has several different levels of learning. The first is really just to chant along and to enjoy the sounds and to enjoy a basic understanding. And that is this red, pronounce. And I've done large font with bold for strong syllables and little font that's not bold for light syllables. And so built into Sanskrit is musical meter, like quarter notes and half notes. Then some of you eventually will learn the Sanskrit characters and be able to start to break words apart. And that's what the orange is about. It decodes the blending. So yogash chitta becomes yoga chitta. Sorry, I got that backwards actually. Yoga chitta. In order to have a euphonic blending, it becomes yogash chitta. So that breath sound will change to ash so that it matches with chitta. This happens all the time in language, and Sanskrit just acknowledges it. For example, most Americans are familiar with namaste. Namaste actually is namaste. It's two words that blend together. And the yellow here is just basic definitions that any of you, once you know the words, could look up on a Sanskrit dictionary. In the green are root sounds. These are codes. So Sanskrit is a very, Sanskritam actually means perfectly made, and it's referring to how sounds match in your mouth at 5 basic positions. But then also the sounds of the language are all onomatopoeia. The sound of the word is meant to match what it means. And so here in nirodha, which means to stop back internally, we learn that ni means internal or close to me. And rud is the root of the verb roda, to check or to prevent. So you'll notice that code ni even in niyama, the second of the Ashtanga. So niyama means the codes of conduct, the yama that apply to me. And finally, I offer as neutral and basic of a translation as possible. So this is how I've written the Yoga Sutra manual. And we have gone through a review several times, but just for this week, I'll review what I consider really the essential Yoga Sutras from the first chapter to know if we were just going to do 3. So you can respond to me. I believe your phones are on mute. So responding you can all do. Let me make sure that's true. So I'll say, then you say. Atta yoga anushasanam. The whole thing. Atta yoga anushasanam. And it means here and now, a sequential presentation on union with God is implied. Union with the all that is. The second Yoga Sutra is yogash chitta vritti nirodha. And the entire sutra is yogash chitta vritti nirodha. And you can really see how to roll along with the chanting by looking in the red there if you're not able to read the Devanagari script. Yogash chitta vritti nirodha. Let's notice that I pass quickly over these lagu or light syllables. And this sutra means that yoga is equal or equated to nirodha. Union is equated to a stopping back internally. A stopping back internally of chitta vritti, the spinnings or the previous existences in my field of awareness. So union occurs when I am able to stop back the program from my past. I'm able to step out of the soap opera. In the next essential sutra, if you're only going to teach 3 to your students, we would skip ahead to the 12th sutra. And that 12th sutra says, you can respond to me, abhyasa, vairagya, abhyam, tan, nirodha. And then the whole sutra, do the best you can. Abhyasa vairagyabhyam tan nirodha. And chanting these over and over is the classical way to learn them. And it's important to learn the basics of Sanskrit and to chant in Sanskrit for many reasons. One, the sounds of the words invoke the properties of the words, but also we're sharing with people something that is at least thousands of years old, if not timeless. And so there's a certain power in that, helping people realize that these technologies for freedom have actually existed for a long time, and that perhaps our version of history or time and the evolution of human consciousness isn't, in our Western version, is perhaps not completely accurate. I'm going to unmute all of you, and you can ask any questions you have over these first three, the most important sutras to teach. Anyone have any questions? Are you able to see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. So we're going to fast forward. And you might want to skip looking at the screen for a second. I'm not sure what it'll do. I'm in a preview mode here. So we went on and defined abhyasa, a practice. We defined vairagya, the state of non-attachment. And we gave examples or learned examples of nirodha, the process of stopping back internally. We went on to learn that there's a fast route, which is the chanting of Om. That the Holy Spirit, Ishvara, inside has a sound, and that sound is Om. We defined the Holy Spirit as that part of me which is untouched by anything I've ever done or anything that ever happened to me. So there's some part of me that's unscarred by my past, and that's what I'm to align with. And we learned that chanting Om removes the internal blocks. We then went on to list these internal blocks. And I think this is a useful review to check back in with. So we will do these in call and response. And I'll ask someone, let's see. Macy, since you're new, we'll have you do it, okay?
All right.
All right, so I'll say, and then Macy, you can respond to me. Do the best you can. Can you see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Feel free to read along in red, although I may not exactly pronounce it, what you see in red, because I might break at a different spot in the word, okay?
Okay.
Vyadhi,
Yadi,
Sthana,
Sthana,
Samshaya,
Samsaya,
that'll be Samshaya,
Samshaya,
Pramada,
Pramada,
Alasya,
Alyasya,
Avirati,
Avirati,
Bhranti,
Branti,
Darshana,
Darshana,
Alabdha,
Alabda,
Bhumikatva,
Bhumikatva,
Anavasta,
Anavasta,
Anavastitatva.
Anivastitatva,
Good job. Anavastitattvani,
Anavastitattvani,
Chitta,
Chitta,
Vikshepaha,
Vikshepaha,
Te,
Te,
Antarayaha.
Antarayaha.
Beautiful job chanting, Macy.
Thank you.
So Macy is showing, and the way I was teaching her shows, the problems with having split attention. So actually the best way to teach a student to chant is just to have the student close the eyes, and that way she or he can have a single point of focus. And in this day and age of information overload, teaching by chanting can be so therapeutic, giving people permission to close their eyes, giving permission for people to really just feel the sounds. So we'll do it again. Macy, you can close your eyes this time, and I'll lead you through this sutra, which is a very long one, so it's not an easy one to just jump into.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Vyadhi,
Vyadi,
Sthana,
Sthana,
Sanshaya,
Samshaya,
Pramada,
Pamada,
Alasya,
Alasya,
Avirati,
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 Virati,
Virati,
Avirati,
Avirati,
Bhranti Darshana,
Vanti Darshana,
Bhranti
Pranti,
Darshana,
Darshana,
Alabdha,
Alabda,
Bhumikatva,
Lumi Tattva,
Bhumi,
Bhumi,
Katva,
Katta,
Katva,
Katva,
Bhumikatva,
Bhumi Kattva,
Anavasta,
Vanavasta,
Anavasta,
Ana, Vasta,
Anavasta,
Anavasta,
Anavastitva,
Anavastitva,
Anavastitatva.
Anivastik.
Stay with me. Anavastitatva.
Anivastitakva,
Be very close. Anavastitatva.
Taksi.
It's no problem, dear. You're doing great. Try double breath with tension. Anavasta,
Anavasta,
Anavastitatva.
Anivastitakva.
Good enough. You're doing great. Chitta,
Chitta,
Vikshepaha,
Vikshepaha,
Te,
Te,
Antarayaha.
Antarayaha.
Beautiful job, Macy. So we're learning how to chant this very long sutra, and some grammatic things happen. Anavastitatvani has that ending, ani, which is a plural neutral ending, and it's that way because it's meaning all of those things, not just one. So anavastitatva is just one thing. But ani means not only that one thing, but all the things that came before. So anavastitatva and all of the things that came before are chitta vikshepastentarayaha. And if you're looking down here in the black and orange, you can see the words that it came from. Chitta vikshepaha te antarayaha. So te antarayaha just becomes tain tarayaha. And just similar to when we have namaste, vikshepaha te becomes vikshepaste. That way it can just blend right together. The breath sound aha can change to as, because te is at the teeth. If I said aha te, I have to break. So down here, aha te, I have to have a break. But if I do as te, it can just run together. And that's how sutras are formed. So reviewing what these things mean, vyadi is meaning sickness or disease. It has that prefix vi in it, which means away, distinct or particular. Sthana means density or rigidity. Sanshaya means fully asleep or doubt, hesitation. This is the opposite of faith. So faith is essential, and sanshaya, it means some block in a person's faith process. Pramada means drunkenness, even. It means carelessness, negligence. Alasya is very similar in English. It means laziness. Avirati, so this is a negation. Avirati means not being able to be continent or to not being able to hold back from the sense lures. And Bhranti Darshana means erroneous or wandering around seeing. So like not seeing clearly. And then alabdha bhumikatva is an interesting creation. Bhumi means earth, like bhu means earth, like in Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, the Gayatri mantra. So here we have bhumi, earth, and we have a not obtained earth, or not obtained groundedness. So when it is ungrounded. And this is actually also a reference back to the definition of abhyasa, which we had in the 14th Yoga Sutra, which defines abhyasa as satu dirgha kala nairantarya sakkara sevato dridha bhumihi, meaning that a practice becomes dridha bhumi, becomes firmly grounded. Well, I become firmly grounded as a practice when I do it for a long time without interruption, with devotion, and I approach it from all angles. And so here it's saying alabdha bhumikatva, which in a way is talking about people who just sort of dibble or dabble in something. And we've all met these people, if not been them ourselves, been that person myself, when I kind of know a little bit about something and I act like I know more than I do, or when I think that I'm good enough or ready to do something when I'm really not. So what it's implying here in part is I can do my practices until I'm just assured, and I am my practice. And earlier today, Linda was sharing about that. You all have to teach yoga so many times and to so many different kinds of people that by the time you graduate, there's no real doubt. You can go teach anywhere because you've been through the fire of teaching yoga to a bunch of different people. And that's the way to be with the practices. We do them until we are them. And then we're just sharing what we love, so there's no need for anxiety. The last of the antaraya, the last of the blocks, the inner hindrances, is anavastitatva. And this is a reference back to avasthanam, tada drashtuhu, svarupe avasthanam, the third Yoga Sutra, which says, then I, the seer, stand apart from the drama. So, tada drashtahu svarupe avasthanam. So, avastha means to stand away. And here, anavastha, or anavastitatva, is meaning I'm not standing away. So, I'm not standing apart from my drama, or I'm unstable. I'm getting mixed up with my drama from my past. So, it's a really a sutra has a lot of power in it. It's describing a lot, and especially as you use them and you refer back to the previous mention of these terms in the Yoga Sutras. So that's what's happening here. The sutra manual is giving you definitions that you then refer back to when you see them again. Those blocks are disruptions in the field of awareness. And this 30th Yoga Sutra is a common one that teacher trainings will talk about and refer back to. Vyadi, a sickness or a particular kind of curse or disorienting thing, or it can even mean any tormenting person. Sthana, density, rigidity. Dr. Ladd would say like a sty in the eye, something that's stuck there. Sanshaya, again, hesitation. I described it in a way as the opposite of faith. Blessed are we when we're so steeped in faith that we don't have hesitation or doubt, right? Pramada is when we are careless, negligent, we're in the negative downward spiral of some intoxicating or stupering behavior or substance. Alasya is just the laziness to even practice. Avirati means not being free from sense world or sense pull or intemperance. Bhranti darshana is erroneous seeing. Alabdhi bhumikatva, this ungroundedness from not being established in the practices. And anavastitatva, meaning not standing apart from my, not being able to really stand apart from my drama or from the drama of my past, or an unstableness. So I'm going to open up for any questions you all have about this sutra. Anyone have anything to ask? So you can hear me chanting this, and you can learn to chant the sutra, and that's how I learned them. Was I chanted them every day for at least a couple years. I can't remember how long. So we're going to move forward, and we covered that when those hindrances are there, that they're accompanied by these various things. Generally, they come with shaking of the limbs, disturbance of the inhale or exhale, a sense of suffering, and a sense of depression or possessing a bad mind. And we covered that in order to free ourselves from the inner hindrances, I can practice a single truth, any single truth. It doesn't say I have to do meditation, although it is recommended. And we covered that the first offering is this one of what to do in relationship life. And we'll chant this in response, and you're all muted so you can all practice chanting. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam, Sukha, Duhaka, Punya, Apunya, Vishayanam, Bhavanata, Chitta, Prasadanam. And this sutra is saying that the prasada, which any Indian person would know is the blessing that the like in Catholic tradition would be like when you go up and you receive the Eucharist or receive the host. Prasada is that fruit or that food that we've offered to the gods or to God, and then we're receiving that after receiving the blessing. So prasada is something that clarifies me, and clarifies my chitta. That's what it's saying here. So one way to clarify the chitta, one way to create that is in relationship life. So if I encounter, and so 4 things are listed and then 4 other things that relate to them. When I encounter someone who is in sukha, someone who's in a good space, then I can cultivate friendship, maitri. So go be with them. If I encounter someone who is dukkha, in a bad space, then I can have karuna, which means compassion. If I encounter someone punya, doing meritorious action, then mudita, celebrate them. And if I encounter someone doing dismeritorious or non-meritorious action, then have a quality of upeksha, which means witness consciousness. Upa, iksha, I becomes a. So a is the sound that connects up to I. So upa iksha becomes upeksha. And it means a neutrality or a witness consciousness. So if I see someone who is doing something negative, I don't look away. No, I witness it. But I don't also think that that's all that person is. So I can just name it. And so I'm naming something in a neutral way. And we have to do this all the time as parents. We have to do this all the time as trainers of yoga teachers or trainers of anyone. But we can also just do this in relationship life with neighbors, with coworkers, with the random public. Just name something. And this is where nonviolent communication practice is so essential. I can share something with a neutral observation. I can possibly even share how I feel or what I might need. There are some fairly harmless examples of this. My first NVC long-term teacher was this quite quaint woman in her 60s, late 60s, from Switzerland, Marceline Broglie. I still love thinking of going to her house and getting tea and little European Swiss pastries on Saturday morning and spending 3 hours learning NVC. And so she shared something around this, around how she would practice sharing NVC language in situations that weren't always comfortable with her, just to practice getting better at it. And she described, I remember this one situation, this was near San Diego, and she was near the San Diego Chargers football team practice facility. And some of those big, huge football players were just sitting in their cars with their cars running and the engines idling. And little Marceline, who's probably like 100 pounds, walked up and tapped on the window and said, "Hi, I'm really concerned about the Earth, and I know you might have really good reasons to run your engine, but I'm just wondering if you'd be willing to honor my concern for the Earth and for quiet, and be willing to turn off your car while you were waiting." And she said that the amazing thing is this one guy that she mentioned said, "Well, lady, because of the way you asked, I'm going to do it." And so this is an interesting thing, just witness consciousness and being in neutrality and being able to express things truly in a neutral frame while naming something. Maybe not the most powered example, because there are other very dismeritorious actions that are occurring out there in the world. But finding that quality of witness consciousness and neutrality is important. And also being able to see above or beyond and see the individual as a soul, not the doer of the act. So frequently in parenting or in this line of interacting with others, there can be, upset with the action, but try not to have it with the person. We're moving on. The following sutras describe other ways that you can possibly clarify your chitta, that you can clarify and find this nirodha, the stopping back of the spinnings in the field of awareness. We'll practice chanting this one, and since I see that my sister has joined the call, April, are you willing to respond to me?
Yes.
Okay, do the best you can. You don't need to see the screen. I'll just say a word, you say it.
Okay.
We're doing the 34th Yoga Sutra. Just respond to the sounds you hear. Prachardana,
Prachardana,
Vitarana,
Vitarana,
Abhyam,
Avyam,
Va,
Va,
Pranasya,
Pranasya,
Prachardana,
Prachardana,
Vitarana,
Vitarana,
Abhyam,
Avyam,
Pranasya.
Pranasya.
So very good, April. We're going to try a little bit more. Prachardana,
Prachardana,
Vidaranabhyam,
Vitaranavyam,
Va Pranasya,
Va Pranasya,
Prachardana, Vidaranabhyam.
Prachardana, Vidarvyam. No.
Way to just go for it. So this is where actually knowing some of the words helps. You may recall dharana as the sixth of the yoga, Ashtanga yoga practices or layers or rungs. Dharana meaning to hold or to focus. And here we have vidharana. So it's prachardana,
Prachardana,
vidharanabhyam,
Vitaranavyam,
va pranasya.
Va Pranasya.
Beautiful job, April. So this sutra is saying, or, another thing you can do is you can focus on those places where the breath is either full or empty. And you'll hear me teaching this often when we do pranayama classes. But it's really important to understand the way that you all teach pranayama and the words that you use have a significant impact. And when you translate things into English, it's really important that you reflect on what qualities the words you use will have for your students. So I don't encourage you to say, inhale, and then hold. And the reason that I don't is because we're not making effort, actually. It's not making more effort that gets the person to a deeper state of awareness or consciousness. There needs to be discipline, there needs to be paying attention, for sure. But it's actually enjoying the full place. So I'll say, follow the inhale up, and then stay, and enjoy the full place, like a balloon that's full. Whenever you're ready, start to exhale down. And it's important that you teach this principle with how you say it, the pacing of your language, of your words, and the imagery that you use. Then you're empowering your students to actually experience that state where the breath is suspended or the breath is completely full. And these wonderful states, the place between the breaths, the places between the breaths are where this magic is happening, where I, the witness, can witness my physical body, my bioenergetic body, my emotional body, my intellectual body. There's some part of me that can witness all of those things without being entangled in their automations. And it's even, I believe, research being done around how even adults can have access to new stem cells in these places between the breaths. It is a great sutra for you to recognize that you know this word, dharana. And the case ending abhyam just means due to these two things. So that's a noun declension. It's because of these two things. Like earlier today, we had abhyasa vairagya abhyam, meaning from a practice and from non-attachment. From those two things, I reach nirodha. Here I have from the expelling, holding out of the exhale, or from holding in the life force. And the translations don't really, I think, do justice how to teach pranayama, which is why I've gone over clearly a better way to describe this teaching. So we're continuing forward and finishing by just basically reviewing some of these sutras and describing them as we work our way to the 40th sutra, which is the one to cover today. So you can listen to me chant these, and you can respond if you'd like. Your microphones are all muted. Vishayavati va pravrittirutpanna manasaha stiti nibandhani. Vishayavati va pravrittirutpanna manasaha stiti nibandhani. And this beautiful sutra is saying that another thing that you can do, and that's that word va, means or. Or you can hold any sense object, which is a finer activity or a fine, thin cognition in the mind, and you can hold steady on it. I do this every morning when I go to the river and watch the reflected sunlight ripple on the water waves. And I reflect on how that reflection of the light is also within me. So I hold my object of awareness as just this reflection on the water. A finer cognition, a finer activity arisen in the mind. And that can also apply to any investigation that happens during the meditation process where you find yourself deeply along the spine or deep in your own nervous system, or find any luminous inspiration. The next sutra, you can respond to me. Vishokava Jyotishmati. Vishokava Jyotishmati. The simple sutra says, or you can hold on to anything that is light-bearing or sorrowless. I like thinking of the first of the Lord of the Rings, where Frodo goes and meets the elven priestess in the woods, who gives him something that will be a light where all other kinds of light fail. The next Yoga Sutra, you can respond to me. Vitaraga Vishayam Va Chittam. Vitaraga Vishayam Va Chittam. And this sutra says, or you can have any object that helps you transcend attachment. So this word raga is an essential word to yoga philosophy. Raga means preference, and viraga means away from preference. Vairagya means the state of being away from preference or attachment. And here we're saying you can choose any object that helps you transcend attachment or transcend preference or coloring. And this would be something that helps you break your usual preferences or attachments. The 38th Sutra, we're going over processes that assist with nirodha, the stopping back internally. You can respond to me. Svapna, nidra, jnana, alambanam, va. Svapna nidra, jnana lambanam va. The whole sutra. Svapna nidra jnana lambanam va. And this sutra is saying, or you can use as your supporting object in your mind the knowledge of dreams and sleep. And one way that this is useful is that the waking state is related to the dream state. And so is the superconscious state to the waking state. So I'm aware in the waking state that dreams are not completely real. They're real, but they're temporary, and they're reflecting some processing of a soap opera that my mind is going through. And one way to think about the waking state is that it's also just a temporary movie that's playing, and that I, the seer, I, the witness, am actually something much more profound than that. I've gone through quite a few sutras. I want to open it up and see if you have any questions or comments. Anyone have anything that comes to them as we review these last several sutras? We talked about the breath and teaching people to enjoy floating at the full place or drifting at the bottom of the empty place. We talked about having a refined part of the cognition, something to hold on to in the mind that was very fine or subtle. We talked about holding something that was sorrowless or luminous. We talked about having something that helped me transcend attachment or preference. Do any of you have any examples that you could share of that? Anything that you use when you find yourself having a lot of coloring, preference, or attachment? Something that you can call upon? What about the knowledge of your Santosha family? What about the knowledge of your yoga community, wherever that is? This is a common process for people in 12-step, especially people that are locked into some behavioral addiction, right? So people are locked into some behavioral addiction, whether it's alcohol or substance, narcotic, gambling, sex. I think the internet is probably certainly should have its own 12-step meetings at this point. But everyone deeply involved in those needs to have something they can call upon when they're in the throes of addictive behavior, right? Did anything come up for any of you? Something that you use when you have yourself feeling attached or deeply colored or in preference? Deanna, what do you do when your kids are acting some way that you would really rather that they didn't act?
I sorry to say, most of the time it wouldn't be successful. It's hard to withdraw from that.
Right. So this would be something that you might still have to set a boundary or limit with your child, but you don't allow your consciousness to get so disturbed.
And it's now that they're older, it's possible to say, can we do this later? But sometimes it can't, or sometimes sometimes it can't.
Well, let the memory of this today class remind you the next time this comes up with one of your children or both, that you can set a limit or boundary, but not have your consciousness get too colored one way or another. You can instead just chant to yourself, Vitaraga Vishayam Vachittam. Or you can just say, I'm not going to be viraga, I'm not going to be unattached. They have their own karma. I'm just here as a guide. Right? We talked about the knowledge of dreams and sleep. Svapna nidra jnana lambanam va. Did this touch anyone in any particular way, the way I described it? Macy, have you heard these sutras before?
I may have, but I'm not that familiar with them.
So we're diving pretty deep into the first chapter here. You might have heard some of the ones from the beginning of the first chapter before, right?
Yeah, definitely. I have my book out here from my teacher training. We use the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is a really good book that breaks it down more in English.
Right. So we're all looking at Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Whose translation were you looking at?
Chip Hart-Ramft.
I'm not sure. Not familiar with that author. So here we're trying to teach you as much as possible the words and where the words come from, so that you can reflect on them really as free as possible from commentary. And that's important to me. It's really important. One of the things happening in the American yoga world is people talking about Sanskrit terminology without any knowledge of Sanskrit.
Sure.
Unfortunately, this is what happened to Jesus. So not in the Sanskrit terms, but so, yes, we're attempting to reclaim. So I'm going to mute you all again. We'll go through 2 more sutras and be done for today's class. So we're looking at the 39th sutra, and this is the last of many examples of the processes that one could choose. You can respond to me as we respond in call and response to the chanting. Yata abhimata dhyanat va. Yata abhimata dhyanat va. We'll try the whole sutra. Yata bhimata dhyanadva. And you might remember the word dhyana means meditation. The suffix at means from, or due to, or by. And here what it's saying, or, va means or from meditation. And what kind of meditation? Whichever way is conceived or desired. So it's not saying that one way is better than another. Abhimata implies that it has been measured frequently or done frequently. And then we get to the 40th Yoga Sutra. You can respond to me. Parama anu parama mahatva antaha asya vashikaraha paramanu parama mahatvantosya vashikaraha. The entire sutra. Paramanu parama mahatpantosya vashikaraha. And what this sutra is saying is that meditation extends to parama anu, the smallest possible thing, and parama mahatva, the grandest or biggest possible thing. So the mastery of meditation has this extension in both directions. Once I still have an elder on my meditation path. And when she was teaching meditation to people that weren't from our lineage of meditation, she would frequently have us begin with a breathing process, and then she would have us start to extend our awareness and see if we could have our heart be big enough to love my entire body. Is my heart big enough to love my entire body? My sense of my love. Is my love big enough to love everyone on this call? Can I extend my heart to be big enough to fill up, and she was saying, this whole room. And I'm saying this whole call. Is my heart big enough to fill up my whole city? Extend my love through my whole city. And I extend my heart and my love through my entire region. The entire climatic region I live in might be my state or my group of states. And I expand my heart and my consciousness to love my entire country, the entire nation, the entire landmass I'm a part of. And I extend my heart to love the entire world. All people, all ethnicities, all ages. Can I extend my heart and my consciousness to love the entire world, all species, all life forms, all inanimate objects, all things I might not know? Can I extend my heart and consciousness to love the entire galaxy? The sun and the moon, which I have a relationship to. Those bright stars that come on the same elliptical as the sun and moon, which are the planets, are actually stars. And I expand my heart and consciousness to love the entire solar system and beyond to the entire universe. Filling my heart far, far beyond even this galaxy. So this process is an example of extending the heart and the consciousness and expansion. And we would usually do this meditation for like an hour, and she would slowly bring us back, all the way back. Universe, galaxy, solar system, Earth, my landmass, my nation, my climatic region, my municipality, my village, my neighborhood, this room, my body, my heart, the space between the breaths, under my heart. So this is an extension in both directions. We'll do one more sutra for today. This is actually the 41st sutra, was the one that I had meant previously when I referred to the 40th. Misperceived number. This sutra is one of Pierre's favorite sutras, and it's one that I chant frequently in class. So once you master a sutra, you can share it by teaching it in Sanskrit and then describing it in English. Make sure you describe it in English. And you can just do that rather than chant the Sanskrit if you prefer, but I do think teaching in Sanskrit has a real power. And as long as it comes from sincerity, even those more proficient in Sanskrit will really appreciate it. So you can respond to me one word at a time. Kshina vritte abhijatasya eva mane grahitra grahana grahyeshu tad statad anjanata samapattihi. So you can follow along in black and orange down here, one word at a time. Kshina vritte abhijatasya eva manehi grahitra grahana grahyeshu tadstatad anjanata samapattihi. And what this beautiful sutra says in its entirety, it's Kshina vritte abhijatasya mane grahitra grahana grahyeshu tatstatad anjanata samapattihi. This is the first reference to samadhi. We don't actually have the word samadhi here, we have samapattihi, which means when everything falls together. And samadhi, total cognitive absorption, is when I, the seer, I, the doer, the act of doing, and that which is being done have all blended. It's when an artist gets into the flow, when an athlete gets into the zone, when a musician gets into the groove. And here we have this description that in one whose spinnings have diminished, so vritti means the spinning, my drama from the past, and kshina means diminished. So in one whose spinnings are diminished, so this is someone who's been able to stop back the drama, then the chitta, the mind or the life, the experience of life, is like a polished gemstone or a beautiful gemstone. Abhijja tasya eva manehi. It is like a well-made gemstone. This is a beautiful, beautiful description. So a person, a consciousness, to be around a person who has gotten free from their own drama. To be around that person is to be around like a perfected or polished gemstone. What happens? The grasper, and it's interesting, graha means the grasper. It's also the name for the planets. The sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all those planets, including Jupiter and Saturn, of course. All of these things are grabbing on me. They're influencing me. These huge planets are magnets. They're pulling on me. They are the deliverer of my karma, one says in Jyotish, or Vedic astrology. But here what it's saying is that I, the grasper, or experiencer, the grasped and the act of grasping, they all come together saturated and simultaneously occurring. So, like in a perfected gemstone, light itself seems to shine forth as if it were originating from that gemstone. And this is what it's like for that being who has become diminished in fluctuations, but it's also what it's like for those of us around that person. I'm going to unmute you all. You can ask any further questions. Any questions about these last sutras we covered today? We'll give it a try, this last Yoga Sutra, one more time. And you can reflect on you yourself through your practices, becoming as beautiful as your favorite gemstone. Kshina vritte abhijja tasya eva mane grahitra grahana grahyeshu tadstatad anjanata samapattihi. Beautiful chanting. This concludes our session on the Yoga Sutras for today.